All right, let's go back to Cold Hard. Fucking what did it, what didn't I fucking like watch
Okay.
like enough of. Wow, actually, because tomorrow I need to fucking like I keep on the grind. So tomorrow, whenever I fucking like get the time. So yeah, let's watch some dude asked why people do not like retail. I play retail, I play modern WoW. Why? But classic players. So new players or like returning players. I'm actually curious to watch it and see if it's like fair points or misguided points, or if it's like players that actually are missing because fuck people. I don't know. Will fuck I meet in Mythic Plus, but God damn, find salvation somewhere else. God fucking damn it.
Okay, so I put my internet journalist pants on again and dove deep into the world of Reddit and Blizzard forums to find out why classic players don't like retail WoW. As a person who enjoys both classic and retail, I was curious to find out why so many people prefer to stick to the classic version of the game. I scrolled through many older posts around the subject and made posts of my own, and this is what I asked. I managed to get over
Classic players, why don't you play retail? As a person who enjoy both classic and retail, I'm curious to know what people don't enjoy about retail and why they prefer classic. I would love it if people were able to answer these questions. What things do you find unappealing in the retail version of the game? What things do you think are better in classic? What do you like about retail, if anything? What will you need to change to consider playing retail? As a person who enjoys, it's the same.
400 answers, and this video is entirely based on the data gathered from those answers and some other older forum posts.
So this is interesting because I kind of like what's like why WoW Classic is so popular, and I actually asked myself the question: how the fuck they can still release like new, fresh Classic servers? And some dude like talked about like game design and like that was actually part of the lost footage. I don't fucking know. But basically like he talked about game design, but like what matters here is like the opinion of people. Like I'm actually like quite tempted to hear these opinions and like see if they're valid, legit or not. Like or if I'm just like missing like actually like people that like don't fucking wish me death in Mythic Plus. Like let's fucking like do the test, shall we?
Now, the last time I did a video like this about why PvEers don't like PvP, I tried to find solutions to all the problems people brought up, but in this video we're not gonna do that because, well, you'll find out when we get to the last question I asked in my forum posts. So, this video is going to be more of an essay type video where we find out the most popular reasons why some people prefer classic over retail. I'm also going to try to explain all of the topics of this video the best I can and also share some of my personal thoughts on these matters. And with that, let's move on to the video. Okay, let's start with the most brought up topics that classic players find
Gotta suggest he's got like some fucking fancy fucking transmog. That's a fucking fancy fucking dude.
unappealing in retail WoW. After reading all the answers and posts, I started with listing the most often highlighted issues and divided them into 5 main topics that we will cover in this video. These are MMO feeling, power progression, focus on endgame, complexity, and Warcraft feeling. So, MMO feeling. When you think of an MMO or massively multiplayer online game, what are the first things that come to your mind? For me, it's a large world, lots of players, and most importantly, interaction between those players.
And Mythic Plus telling me that I should kill myself
Now, WoW is an
or just quit the game
MMORPG, but a lot of people
or not play as my role.
Said that they feel like retail has lost the MMO feeling, and that retail is moving further and further away from the MMO part and leaning more towards an RPG. Many people said that retail doesn't feel like an MMO because of two main reasons: social interactions and the open world. Let's start with social interactions. Retail WoW is definitely a more antisocial game than Classic. And this is mostly because of the fact that over the years, Blizzard has tried to make accessing endgame content more convenient through LFG, and now most of the endgame is interacted with through queuing for it in the LFG tool instead of interaction between players. This has made it way easier and less cumbersome to do endgame content, but it has also removed a lot of social interaction between players. The LFG tool has also reduced the need to keep up social connections with good players you enjoyed playing with, because it's so easy to find people for your groups through the LFG tool. Also, the whole fast-paced and skill-based endgame formula of retail often leaves little room and time for socializing with other players, and people are more focused on clearing the content as efficiently and as fast as possible. Many Classic players find this more antisocial environment unappealing, and for that reason prefer Classic and the social interactions that come with it. Okay, let's move on to the open world part of the MMO feeling. Retail WoW has had 9 expansions added to the game over the last 20 years, and with each of those expansions have come more zones and areas for players to explore. The downside to this, however, is the fact that while the open world has grown larger and larger, the player base of Retail WoW has only grown smaller. The outcome of this is that there are far less players out there in the different zones of the open world, especially the older zones that don't have anything to do with the current endgame content.
So this is actually with the inter-server, like basically like each time you go to a zone, like people from different servers, you get to see them. This doesn't happen, but it's true that like there's a difference between like people from different servers and sticking with the same people from like the same servers. So I remember like just like re-seeing the same people over and over gets like it gets you to a different like type of feeling, type of vibe.
Feel empty and dead because there is really no incentive for players to go into those zones. This results in many people feeling like they're playing a solo game, since outside of the current expansion zones, you rarely come across other players. Having an empty open world kills the MMO feeling of the game for many people and makes the game feel more like an RPG than an MMORPG. Many Classic players say that the open world in Classic feels much more alive, and for that reason they enjoy it a lot more. Now that we're done talking about the MMO feeling, let's talk about power progression. I would argue that most MMORPG players enjoy the feeling of seeing the time and effort put into the game bear fruit in the form of their characters growing stronger and more powerful. This is, in fact, a very important part of the game for many players of WoW and other MMORPGs as well. And in Classic WoW, in my opinion, the player power progression is done very well, and more time put into playing almost always results in a more powerful character. Whereas in Retail WoW, the power progression system is very convoluted and distorted because of the different systems implemented throughout.
I say that like is just overbloated. Like that will be kind of like convoluted and distorted as well. Like I'd say complicated, but also overbloated and just like overwhelming. Whereas like but yeah, I mean like it still works to some. It works for me, but like I'm not an average player. I'm a dude that actually like looks about analytics about like fucking game design. So obviously, so for new innocent players like basically the good newbies that actually people fucking love to hate for some reason. Well, classic is the better experience, and they can maybe replace someday the fucking people that I see in fucking Mythic Plus. Goddammit. Where do you live? What's going on in your life to be so mean? But yeah, so this is kind of like the new players, and I think that like it's a like they get what they want, and they don't feel like you don't feel overwhelmed or over like just like mm, just like you don't resent this frustration of like too much at once. It's kind of like similar to the paradox of choice. You know, like when you sell products, offering too many choices to your consumers actually it creates choice paralysis. That's called, I think, and because of that, it's actually like less marketable to actually like sell a big variety of products. So let's say Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola has like many products. You know what? Unless you live in Japan, they don't do is they don't sell them at the same time. And basically, like choice paralysis when it comes to consuming is kind of similar to what people can experience in World of like in modern WoW, retail WoW. Choice paralysis because bro, what the fuck do you do? There's Mythic Plus and the Delve and the Raid, but like there's PvP as well. But like there's like cool lore and like there's cinematics, but like Zazath, like best girl, right? But like and but like on this one, like well on the and so basically it's the idea of having a menu like going to I'll give you this example. This is an example that actually like will actually uh clarify like just like so like explain to you simply what I'm trying to tell you. You're going to a Chinese restaurant. It has 400 dishes. You don't know anything about fucking Chinese food except like one or two dishes. And then there is another Chinese restaurant, four dishes. Four. Which one you'll be happier to fucking go and like over like in which one you'll have a better experience? 400 dishes? You have to look at the fucking menu and everything is fucking like the names are all Chinese and you are nothing but Chinese, right? Or the fourth dishes, and it's kind of like, let's say, like a Subway or like a fucking like McDonald's type, right? A small franchise type of stuff, where it's like you get your four dishes, you get what the fuck you want, and you actually don't fucking like have this frustration and choice paralysis when consuming. And so this is kind of like the difference between classic WoW and the modern WoW, where like you feel this choice paralysis, and it's like really like for a lot of people watching the YouTube videos and us, like the people who fucking talk to you, right? Like we actually fucking tend to forget that like you, the average player, you are not us. The fucking dude that actually tells you, I know how to set up a fucking stream. I know how to fucking set up like a video game experience. I know how to narrate my video game experience and then do analysis of my video game experience while watching analysis of someone else's conclusions of his video game experience. Like most people, they just play video games, dude. Like that's it. And but they're fascinated by like people who actually can fucking like tell them like what the fuck is going on and why it makes them happy. Like, but yeah, like I think that like to be fair, like choice paralysis, similar to consumer choice paralysis, is one of the causes of like the struggles of modern WoW compared to classic WoW.
throughout the years. Okay, let me try to explain this a little bit. First of all, in classic WoW, the player character's power progression is very linear from the very first level all the way up to the final endgame content. As you gain levels and gear, you feel their effect and get a satisfying loop of feeling your character's power grow and allowing you to take on more challenging content, which then again results in better gear and more levels. In retail WoW, however, more often than not, the level scaling of enemies and stats make it so that as you gain more levels, you actually become less powerful as enemy scaling systems start to take effect. This feeling of your character getting worse while progressing through the game seems to be a big turnoff for many players. Another thing that many classic players don't like about Retail's power progression is the fact that it is, in their words, an infinite treadmill. What people are referring to here is the fact that Retail WoW's seasonal progression system results in all power level progress becoming obsolete in the next season.
Yes, and this is actually like something like also valuable in classic WoW is that like you get to know the end of the story and you get to fucking like go through it. It feels like in between like a single player story driven game RPG that is kinda sandboxy and a fucking like MMO where like here it's more like well you get the fucking treadmill. Yeah, you got the fucking treadmill, but at the same time I think that like they did really a good job. They serve a good duty when it comes to storytelling because like the treadmill exists, but the treadmill is not the story that they talk about. So basically like Exile being the best girl out out throning Sylvanas, and basically like all the stories of like well between the Ord and the Alliance and the Old Gods and everything that basically like actually like matters and that are like outside of this treadmill that people that E doesn't mention and that people tend to forget. Like some people like well for the story. I like WoW for Exodia.
This happens because of the huge gear item level differences between seasons, and also the various catch-up mechanics that help people reach better gear at the start of the season. This means that the gear that is hard to obtain in this current season will be very easy to obtain in the next one, making the effort put into gearing in the current season not feel so impactful in the long term. Lots of people that answered my questions disliked the fact that your power level in Retail WoW only stays relevant for the couple of months the season lasts, and then you have to start your progress all over again. Next, I will try to make it more simple to understand the differences in power progression between.
Okay, let me just check. I have like a trauma response of like, is my mic still fucking functioning? So let me just. Okay, so yeah.
Retail and Classic WoW through
I look like a crazy person. It's alright because my microphone did not die.
some graphs, since it's a lot harder to
In fact, today again, I still don't know why the fuck it just breaks down. Okay, dude.
try and explain in words. Okay, let's start with Classic WoW. Like I said before, Classic WoW's power progression is very linear. You start at level 1, and each level and each gear upgrade will make you stronger and make it easier for you to overcome challenges. This is not affected by any scaling systems, so for example a level 55 elite will be hard to kill at level 55. But once you get to level 60 and you obtain some gear, the elite will be much easier to kill.
But it will be still difficult. And this nuance actually like still exists in Modern WoW, but it's really well nuanced. And you really like need to check like your numbers because like I noticed, you can notice like in different content, but like yeah, average player, like think about the average players, they don't notice that. And so there is like way less satisfaction to actually like overcome this type of like challenges.
Whereas in Retail, the scaling of enemies and seasonal resets make the power progression look more like a sine wave in a graph. Let's say an expansion starts at the very first peak of the wave and you have obtained good gear in the last expansion. As you start leveling and gaining more levels, the scaling systems start to take effect, and unless you constantly get good gear upgrades, the enemies will start to feel stronger and your character will start to feel weaker. This is usually at its worst around the time you reach the new maximum level. Only after you reach the new maximum level and start obtaining better gear will the power level scale start leaning in your favor. This same power level sine wave will also continue through the many seasons in the new expansion, as the seasonal endgame content is scaled for the new seasonal item levels. So, in a nutshell, many players prefer Classic because of the linear power progression, where every upgrade to your character will remain an upgrade, and power progression is not reset seasonally, and you can even take a year's break from the game and still have your character be as relevant as it was before you left. Many players feel as if they wasted their time gearing a character in retail, since that progress will eventually become obsolete.
So actually, now that I think of it, I think that like one of the greatest like outcome of classic WoW, there was like another MMO called Project Titan by Blizzard that was abandoned. But like the what will be great will be actually an MMO fitting the needs and the rhythm and the architecture that people like within classic WoW, but new wave, right? This won't happen because we are not living like in the gaming industry that we were living in 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So sadly, maybe something else will maybe something else, but this will be the greatest outcome. That basically like classic WoW becomes leads to like development of like another type of MMO that actually like follow the trails of classic WoW and not retail WoW, and allows for like these players to actually like discover a new story. Like that will be also like really enjoyable, like a new story from Blizzard, because Diablo was actually fucking awesome. Overwatch didn't release any story like basically like we have WoW, we got Diablo not too long ago, but we got Overwatch, but before like Diablo 4 basically. The only storytelling that we got, if not for WoW or Hearthstone, is actually StarCraft. So so yeah, maybe some new storytelling. I don't know why Blizzard is fighting off like his own talent for storytelling, because like they're not like doing everything right. They're not great at everything, but when it comes to storytelling, they are really talented, and they prove it like through Hearthstone actually, because they're able to like sell so many stories and create so many like interesting tales through just a card game. Like why do you focus on fucking Overwatch, and why don't you try to sell more story? I don't fucking know, money problems. It's complicated, like but you get me.
Okay, next we're gonna talk about Retail WoW's focus on endgame. One of the major issues that classic players find off-putting about Retail is the fact that the game mostly revolves around current endgame content. The whole game feels like it's designed to rush you through the game and get you into the current endgame loop as fast as possible. This makes the leveling and early gearing part.
So I was talking about it like that. So when it comes to game design, there should be. This is a it's not a mistake, but like the solution to that is actually really easy. Giving not choosing for the player to fucking gearing yourself and like getting to level 80, level max as fast as possible, but having the choice between like basically your classic WoW adventure or your classic WoW leveling adventure or your modern WoW leveling adventure. Like just having the choice, and then actually when it comes to like old content, recycling it through all through all zones with max level mobs, basically, to actually being able to enjoy like a new type of storytelling, basically not new, but like not lose the storytelling, because game design will prevail over like good storytelling. Because overall, if you want to fucking join an epic adventure like I'm doing like right now in Suramar, it is not epic if I one shot every mob. it is not epic if I fucking walk around like a fucking demigod or a fucking god compared to everyone, while the story is actually fucking really, really fucking like interesting and interesting to discover, right? These are like two choices basically when it comes to game design that like they should allow. It won't happen, but like these are like actual solutions to the problems that like he mentions, offering the choice to players to fucking like level the way they want, max level zones so you don't feel frustrated when you actually like try to just like understand the lore and discover the lore of the game. And then the ultimate solution will be actually maybe fucking like do a modern classic WoW MMO type like when it comes to game design and tell a new story. Why not? It's been like years since you did.
Part of the game feel more like an annoying obstacle than a natural part of the game. Many classic players feel like the leveling phase in retail is simply too fast. The leveling is so fast that you can't even complete longer storylines of the game before reaching the maximum level. And for many people, the incentive to start doing the current endgame content at that point means that they rarely get to fully experience the stories and campaigns that the leveling experience has to offer. The
Exactly. And this is exactly like the problem where it's like, yeah, dude, you just like walk in the first so in between Wrath of the Lich King and the Burning Crusade, you had to go through the whole story of the Burning Crusade to get to the Wrath of the Lich King. There was like no fucking like there was like the a legacy gear, right, which allowed you to skip some, but you could not allow yourself to skip these stories. When today you get to Burning Crusade, you go to the Peninsula, you do the quest, your level, you and if you're done with the expansion overall. And this is actually bad game design choices. But what can you do when you have like such a rich game? Like that's the problem also. Like the actual like Blizzard face, where it's just like when you see like the actual number like numeric number of content and ideas and just like uh, s- stuff that is just like mixed together, like it's just like so much that like unless you started like as a solo developer, and basically you get like a say like on everything, and basically like you're basically a dictator when it comes to game design, right, while being in a corporation. Unless you are like that, I don't like you cannot really do that, because like there are like all the fucking economical problems that like you have to face when it comes to like the fucking shareholders and stuff like that, that like no one cares. Blizzard have to care about shareholders and stuff like that. This is why like see all the dream and fantasies and solutions that I can offer you will never happen, because it's real life, because this is real life, and real life is sad. Real life sucks, and yeah.
leveling phase of classic WoW, however, is in stark contrast to what it is in the retail version. In classic WoW, the leveling phase feels like a natural part of the game, and some players even enjoy it over the endgame content of classic WoW. Leveling in classic takes a long time, but for me and many others, it doesn't feel like an obstacle to be quickly overcome, but more like an experience to be enjoyed. I personally feel like the slower paced leveling of classic WoW also allows you to learn your new classes more easily, as you're not bombarded with new abilities and passives left and right, and you have a lot of time to get used to how your different abilities work before you reach the maximum level. Okay, the next major topic we're gonna talk about is complexity. Many classic players said that they feel very overwhelmed by the amount of different systems implemented to the game over the years. There are 20 years worth of different systems in the game, and while most of them are not relevant in the current content, there still are a lot of systems to learn and understand. What makes this situation even worse is the fact that often the game doesn't do a very good job of explaining these systems to players.
This system sucks. There, I said it. How is anyone supposed to ever figure this out unless you read a whole freaking handbook? This doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. And this is like the part where it's like, path, like, yeah. Like, if you, it's so, like, to add to the argument of like like slower leveling and like maybe less min-maxing, well, basically, if you had the time to fucking if it took like a reasonable amount of time to level, well, basically you'd get the time to actually like get into the game and understanding and not have this exact reaction. Because during your leveling experience, you would have the time to fucking like get like guided by the game to fucking understand what the fuck is going on. Because at this point, when it comes to retail, like the question is not how do I do this? It's what the fuck is going on. And this is the biggest problem, which allows for like really like it allows for like some sort of like challenge, but also this allows a lot of players that we like the players from WoW, but like it's the same with League, it's the same with a lot of like games are missing actually. Like we're missing a lot of players that are like just not there because they're not asking themselves how, they're asking themselves what the fuck constantly when playing the game, and because of that they just quite to tell you, bro, like well, I cannot know what the fuck, like I'm not even like trying to fucking like I don't understand what's going on my fucking screen, so I'll fucking choose something where like it actually fucking explains to me. So yeah.
These systems are also very hard to figure out intuitively, so more often than not, you have
And the answer of fucking Google it when it comes to a video game is not valid anymore. Okay? Like this is like also like the yeah, you just have to fucking get an add-on, like you just have to fucking no. Like the fucking modern player do not have to fucking do your chores as a fucking game designer because you made such complicated systems. They should launch the game, get into the game, and never fucking get out of the game unless they want to fucking like get back to actually being happy, right? But like when it comes to game design, they should not like get outside of the gaming experience if they want to progress. Like this is like some high-end type of like stuff that can happen for like some players, right? But like but like I'm talking about the new player that actually got the expansion, that really is happy just about discovering the fantasy world, and then some fucking grown up tell him, "Hey bro, you gotta fucking Google this because or else you won't fucking know." And like for me, like doing raiding, for example, I have to fucking watch a YouTube video that lasts fucking like 20 to 30 minutes and take the time to fucking understand what's going on to actually getting to heroic raiding, right? The new player will never do that. And this is like the thing that like people miss, but like when it comes to like the community, game designers are to blame. Yeah, but like they still sell a good product. The players are to blame. Like, oh my fucking god. Like, I cannot believe how fucking childish this community can be when it comes to this elitism that people have and this fucking like just mockery of themselves that like these people are, because they're like it's a bunch of adults that fucking like assault other adults and basically on knowledge that they miss in a game that basically do not allow you to get this knowledge easily. It is the same with Dota, it is the same with League of Legends, and this is why I'm telling you, best game ever, fucking Genshin Impact. Go fuck yourself with your like or like solo driven storytelling game, right? And go fuck yourself with your elitism about like fucking Valorant or like League or WoW or Final Fantasy or whatever the fuck, because the second there's someone that fucking like wants to fucking hurt you because like the game didn't give you the didn't fucking like give you the a leeway to fucking like be actually correct, which everyone will try. Well, it's a problem, but also the community is like to fucking blame. And as much as like I am within a community that like is chill about it, I fucking despise the fact. Like I'll give you this a simple example: Mythic Plus. Never tried it before. I get to enjoy it. I discovered that like people basically like you wipe once, you don't finish a dungeon. For the vault, you need like 10 mythic. You need to do 8 Mythic Plus per week to actually get the reward. You just need to finish the dungeon. It's not that fucking complicated. Just finish the dungeon and don't be toxic if you don't get the fucking like timer and like the extra loot. That's it. That's all you need, and they don't fucking do it. And because of that, like basically a bunch of childish people within like a sea of like people that just try to fucking have fun, right? Like I'm maybe too mean to this. I don't know, but like I'm having more fun like playing like doing my delves with my fucking guildmates, or like doing like random PvP with people that like really take themselves seriously but bother no one else and bother no one, than like the social activities where like you this similar fucking like nonsense in League of that you get in League of Legends, where like some fucking like, adult is like telling you, "Hey, go kill yourself because like I'm the reason," and it's like, bro, like I'm just trying to have fun here, like playing the character of my dreams, you know? Like go fuck yourself with your fucking like unhappiness and go find a life, bro.
Have to Google how they work. Another thing that creates a new layer of complexity to the retail version of the game is the fact that there are constant changes and updates being done to the game that affect class balance, systems, currency.
And actually, everything that I described about retail WoW, modern WoW, it doesn't happen in fucking classic WoW. None of this. Like to the point where like even in hardcore, so you die once, you delete your character. Servers, they're not as fucking toxic. Like to just say, and it's insane. And it's like like I think it's like a modern trend just because like people are fucking like awful. And this is a good argument that I'll give to God that we should have never existed. Like like if it's not like for like the three fucking like players that are still fucking enjoying these games, and actually like you get to have a fun time with them, and you get to not fucking question yourself about like your own well-being just because some fucking people cannot fucking be happy in their personal life, and they have to fucking counterbalance it on fucking like being a degenerate, not the good kind like me, in a fucking video games that like at the end of the day means nothing to no one.
And so on. And in order to keep up with these changes, players have to read developer blue posts on the forums and Wowhead. I personally read weekly hotfix blue posts and different updates weekly to stay on top of things that are happening in retail WoW. The fact that constant changes aren't being made to the classic version also means that you can take a long break from the game, and when you come back, the skills and knowledge you've gathered so far will still be relevant and useful. Whereas in retail WoW, taking a long break and returning to the game will often mean that the game has dramatically changed, and your main class, for example, might have reworked talents and a completely new, different playstyle, and your previous experience is no longer that relevant.
And actually, here's the fucking difference. I don't know, like, so I'd say like I played until Cataclysm, but like in between like Burning Crusade and the Wrath of the Lich King, like until Cataclysm, I don't know if it was the case because I had my community. I was like a leader, and like I had my fucking friends in it. But back in the day, so these changes were happening the same. But you know what you had? A fucking community that you didn't fucking want to kill, or that wanted to kill you. This made these changes really interesting because basically like new paths, new stuff is happening. People are happy and people are asking each other, then what the fuck do we do? And they're not like fucking going on fucking like Liquid or like Method or like fucking like what is it called, like Wowhead fucking guides the on day one to fucking understand what's the best and basically stick to that without ever thinking about like maybe like doing something creative about like what they can. And the game allows for like creativity, like there is like way enough so when it comes to game designers, they're to blame. Yeah, but like they are not like all powerful in this. Like a better community and just a better people will make a better game. And this is why I think that like overall like maybe it will change. I really hope that like with the influx of like and the success of classic WoW, it will bring like a just like a new community that is not the fucking this fucking community that I see that really reminds me of fucking like the Valorant community, the League of Legends community, the fucking like and the fucking what's it called, Dota community. Or like you call the video game where like people wish you to die and tell you to fuck your mom while you're like wait, I am an adult and wait, you probably like earn more than me and you probably are older than me, bro. Like this shit was like fucking like back in the cringe internet days, like it was okay, but like on this one, bro, like when everyone has TikTok and you can min-max your fucking career just watching like a 30 seconds video, bro. Like this is just pitiful and unallowed. It's just like the fucking like you're the star of the shit show that you don't know about, and everyone is aware, and no one tells you because there's so many of you, basically.
Many people that answered my question.
Or basically, people tell you and told you once, and we all gave up. And so we just like have to fucking like handle the fact that like we still have to fucking like do like common chores with like this type of players. Which is like not your fucking 15-year like, and don't mistake me, it's not your fucking 15-year-old like player that is discovering the game. So it's just high energetic. Is there just like is there the most adorable people ever? Like it's the fucking like jaded fucking people that just like don't know what to do with their lives and tells you, yeah, let's fucking like make the life worse of like people random on the internet just because I'm sad inside and I cannot fucking like find an answer to this happiness, even though like there are many, basically. I have like a lot of hatred. Like there's like all my hours like getting fucking called like a jerk and whatever the fuck playing Dota that like just got back to me. And yeah, good moment to fucking tell you, you suck. I never liked you, and you do not play well as well. Like this is this common enemy that like me and my like a couple friends we just face, like that like I get to fucking rant about. Thank you for thank you life that like we're all gonna die. So I just know that like as much as it is sad that I'm gonna die, my loved ones will gonna die, they're gonna die as well. That was my TED talk.
Said that they enjoy classic WoW over retail for this very reason. Some people prefer the fact that they know exactly what they're getting from a new character and how class balance and different systems work from the very first levels to the final end game. Okay, moving on to our final main topic, which is Warcraft feeling. Many people seem to feel like retail WoW has over the years lost its identity and no longer lives up to the expectations people have for a Warcraft game, both story and graphics wise. The lore and look of the game has in many players' eyes been very Disneyfied, and the story no longer follows in the footsteps of the more brutal and war-focused pattern that Warcraft lore used to have. The story of the game now has more of an emotional focus, and the major cinematics and storylines focus more on very Disney-feeling topics of family and friendship and feelings, which is the very opposite of what some people expect from Warcraft lore. I'm sure some people enjoy how the current story of the game is developing, but especially many classic players think that the story of retail WoW has thematically gone in a wrong direction. A lot of WoW players grew up on Warcraft games and prefer to play Classic WoW over retail because they feel like Classic WoW still holds true to what they expect from a Warcraft game.
I'll say when it comes to that, I'll just say that like when you have like 15 expansion and you make a game running for like 20 years, that's what happens. You get like a mix up and a mashup of like everything, and I'm actually surprised that like it still makes sense to any degree, to be honest.
Now we finally come to the last two questions that I asked Classic players to share their opinions on, and the reason why I didn't try to figure out how retail WoW could be made more appealing to the Classic audience. When asked about what Classic players do like about retail WoW, the answers were mostly about the transmog system and some quality of life features. But these two things were also often on the list of things that people didn't like about retail WoW, so I think the Classic community is somewhat divided on whether these things are a good or a bad thing. Okay, then moving on to the last question of what would need to change in retail in order to make Classic players consider playing it. And the vast majority of the people I asked answered that no amount of changes will make them want to play retail. Many Classic players seem to feel that the retail WoW is simply too far removed from what the game used to be, and unless the whole game is remade, they simply have no interest in playing it. And for this reason, I didn't try to think of how the issues Classic players have with retail could be addressed. Many people consider Classic and Retail WoW to be two very different games that are to be enjoyed for different reasons and in different ways, and I completely agree with this myself. I enjoy the fast-paced, difficult retail endgame and the collection of transmogs and mounts, but I also enjoy the chill, classical MMORPG leveling and gearing experience that Classic WoW has to offer. I would like to know how people feel about these issues, so go to the comment section and tell me if you feel like something is missing from these topics and whether you agree or disagree with them.
What is missing from these topics are actually like the adorable and beautiful classic WoW players that do not like give retail modern WoW a chance. So I get to fucking play with them and not the fucking like people that I'm used to. I found some, but like we're not enough. Like we're not enough. People are like this is what's missing from like classic from retail WoW. The classic WoW players. So yeah, this was I asked 400 classic WoW players why they don't like retail. It was like a great video. Subscribe to Seal. I really like this was a really like good like thinking experiment, and I think that like overall it made it touched they touched a lot of points that are true to the game, and I'll just add to that like people do not understand that like the average player is not a fucking like 15-year-old aimbot that fucking plays Valorant on the highest ranks, or League of Legends fucking like faker that fucking understands the game in ways that you never will. They're just people that goes to school or goes to work and goes to take some time to have fun after that, after their chores, and then go back to their lives. And this is what people tend to forget. And I say it like many times, but like over like it doesn't matter because like over the videos it doesn't like it doesn't connect. But like basically like it's just like what people tend to forget, and within this YouTube bubble, Twitch bubble, and gaming bubble, like people tend to forget who the fuck they are and who the fuck they think they are and who the fuck they are in reality. As if everyone think they are like a faker or like a who the fuck is a legend or a fucking who the fuck is a good player except faker. I don't remember. I can tell you no tale, but like or like for like some obscure Dota player. But like everything thinks that like they're faker when like everyone is basically a just a random dude, and because of that, like people just need to take themselves like less seriously. I'm like too fucking awesome, like modern player. Uh, yes, but that's because I had to fucking do my mythics, and I have 3 left for this week, and I know that like the fucking nightmare is not over yet.